Hello, my little eyelashes, and welcome to Tarot Third Eye. I pulled 10 cards for a goals reading today, and honestly, the deck practically threw this at me. Something about your ambitions wants to be heard right now, so let's see what messages came through for you. You know when you are holding something so tightly your knuckles go white? That's the Four of Pentacles. This figure is literally clutching their coins, one under each foot, one against their chest, one balanced on their head like a crown they're terrified of losing. I'm getting a really strong message here about grip. Not just on money, though that might be part of it for some of you. This is about holding on to what you've built so far, what you've achieved, what you consider yours. And here's the thing, there's wisdom in protection, but there's also prison in it. I keep seeing the number 7. 7 days to build something. 7 colors in light when it breaks apart. If 7 means something to you right now, pay attention. Someone out there has been playing it extremely safe with their goals. You've maybe reached a certain level. Could be financial, could be professional, could be personal security. And now you're just maintaining, protecting what you have instead of growing it. The card is asking, what's the cost of this safety? There's something about a brick wall I'm picking up. Solid, protective, but also you can't see through it. You might be so focused on defending what you've already accomplished that you're missing opportunities to expand. This isn't about being reckless with what you've earned. But sometimes the very thing that got you here, that careful, controlled approach, becomes the thing that keeps you stuck right here. The Four of Pentacles is stability, but it's also a question. What are you so afraid of losing that you've stopped reaching for more? Well, here we go. Two of Wands, and look at this shift. After that death grip we just saw, this figure is standing tall, holding a globe in one hand and a wand in the other, literally surveying the world like they own it. The contrast is striking. We just talked about someone clutching what they have, and now we've got this person looking out over mountains and valleys, planning their next empire. This is the moment right before expansion, when you've got enough foundation to finally lift your head and ask the big question, where do I actually want to go with this? I'm getting something about maps, old-fashioned paper maps that you unfold on a table and trace routes with your finger. There's a sense of plotting, of strategy. If you've been feeling stuck in maintenance mode, this card is your permission slip to start dreaming bigger again. Here's what's interesting. This figure isn't rushing anywhere. They're taking time to really look at their options. The world is literally in their palm, but they're being thoughtful about it. This feels like someone who's moved past that protective crouch and is now ready to be intentional about growth. I keep picking up the scent of cinnamon. Warm, a little spicy. Something that makes you want to lean in closer. If that means something to you, trust it. The Two of Wands is asking you to remember that those goals you've been protecting, they were never meant to be endpoints. They were meant to be launching pads. That 7 I mentioned before, it's showing up again, but now it feels like 7 steps forward instead of 7 walls built around you. Someone out there has been waiting for the right time to make their move. This card is saying the right time is when you stop waiting and start choosing. The globe in this figure's hand isn't just decoration. It's a reminder that the world is bigger than your current safe zone, and you're finally stable enough to explore it. The Seven of Swords shows up, and I have to laugh a little. After all that careful planning we just saw, here comes the trickster. This figure is sneaking away from a campsite with an armload of swords, tiptoeing like they're trying not to wake anyone up. 5 swords clutched against their chest, 2 left behind, like they couldn't carry everything. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't necessarily the villain of the story. Sometimes, the most strategic thing you can do is work outside the system that's been holding you back. I'm getting something about 3 a.m. decisions. You know those moments when you're lying awake and suddenly everything becomes crystal clear? When you realize you've been playing by rules that were never designed for your success. That's the energy here. Someone out there has been trying to achieve their goals the proper way, the way everyone expects, but it's not working. The Seven of Swords is whispering. Maybe it's time to get creative with your approach. Maybe it's time to take what you need and leave what doesn't serve you. Think about how this connects to that Four of Pentacles grip we started with. You were holding on to everything, afraid to lose what you had. Then the Two of Wands showed you the bigger picture, got you thinking about expansion. Now, the Seven of Swords is saying, some of those things you've been clutching, you don't actually need them all. And some of the things you need, they might not come through traditional channels. I keep getting the image of a key turning in a back door. Quiet, purposeful, effective. There's a group of you who've been knocking on the front door of your dreams for months, maybe years, and it's time to find another way in. The smell of rain on concrete is coming through strong. That petrichor scent that means something is shifting in the atmosphere. Here's the thing about the Seven of Swords that most people miss. Those 2 swords left behind? That's not failure. That's discernment. This card knows you can't take everything with you when you make your move. You have to choose what's essential and be willing to leave the rest. If you've been feeling like you need to completely reinvent your strategy, like the conventional path toward your goals isn't working anymore, pay attention to this card. Sometimes the most honest thing you can do is admit that the game you've been playing isn't the one you're going to win. So, change the game. The 7 keeps showing up, doesn't it? 7 days to build, 7 steps forward, and now 7 swords representing 7 different approaches. Maybe it's time to try number 7. Now this is what I call a plot twist. The Ace of Pentacles. And after watching that careful progression from hoarding to planning to sneaking around the rules, here comes the universe dropping a golden coin right into your palm. Look at this card. There's a hand emerging from a cloud, offering a single pentacle like it's saying, "Here, try this on for size." Below it, there's this lush garden, a pathway leading somewhere promising, mountains in the distance. Everything about this card screams fresh start, but not the chaotic kind, the kind that's been building up to this moment all along. I'm getting something about soil under fingernails, rich dark earth that sticks to your hands when you've been planting something that matters. If that resonates, pay attention. Here's what's beautiful about where we are right now. Remember that tight grip from the Four of Pentacles? That strategic overview from the Two of Wands? That unconventional approach from the Seven of Swords? The Ace of Pentacles is saying all of that was preparation for this new opportunity, this seed of something bigger. Someone out there has been wondering if all their careful maneuvering was worth it, if breaking those old patterns actually led anywhere. This card is your answer. Yes, it did. It led here, to this moment where the universe is literally handing you a new beginning. The number 7 has been following us through this reading like breadcrumbs, hasn't it? 7 as protection, 7 as steps forward, 7 as the willingness to change the game. Now we're at the Ace, number 1, but it feels like the 7th thing we've been waiting for. The thing that makes all the other pieces finally make sense. I keep getting the taste of honey. Thick, golden, naturally sweet, but also complex. There's work that went into making that sweetness, effort that transforms simple ingredients into something nourishing. What I love about this ace is that it's not asking you to throw away everything you've learned. That protective instinct from the Four of Pentacles, you'll need some of that discernment, that global perspective from the Two of Wands, essential for what's coming, that strategic thinking from the Seven of Swords, absolutely crucial. The Ace of Pentacles is showing up for someone who's been doing the inner work, the preparation, the questioning of old systems. You've earned this opportunity not in spite of all that struggle, but because of it. I'm seeing something about keys again, but this time it's not a backdoor key. This is the key to your own front door, the one you've been building room by room without even realizing it. The pathway in this card isn't leading to someone else's garden. It's leading to yours. There's a group of you who've been asking yourselves some big questions about what you actually want to build with your life. Not what you should want, not what would look impressive, but what would feel solid and real under your hands. The Ace of Pentacles is confirmation that those questions were the right ones to be asking. Three of Pentacles, and I'm immediately struck by how perfectly this fits with everything we've been building. Here we have three figures working together on what looks like a cathedral or monastery. An architect holding blueprints, a stonemason with tools, and what appears to be a monk or scholar. They're collaborating, each bringing their expertise, to create something that none of them could build alone. After watching this journey from that isolated grip of the Four of Pentacles, through to the universe handing you that golden opportunity with the Ace, now we're seeing how that seed actually grows. Through connection, through collaboration, through recognizing that your biggest goals aren't solo projects. I'm getting something about the sound of hammering. Rhythmic, purposeful, the kind of steady work that builds something lasting. If you've been hearing construction sounds lately, or if the rhythm of building has been calling to you, this is your sign. Here's what's fascinating. Remember that Seven of Swords sneaking around, working outside the system. The Three of Pentacles is showing the flip side of that energy. Sometimes you need to work alone and break the rules, and sometimes you need to step into your expertise and teach others how to break them with you. This card is about being valued for what you know, for what you bring that nobody else can. Someone out there has been carrying their vision alone for too long. You've been that Four of Pentacles person, protecting your ideas, your methods, your goals, like sharing them would somehow diminish them. But look at this card. Each person is contributing something different, and together they're creating something magnificent. The Seven energy keeps threading through this reading, doesn't it? And now we're at 3, which adds up to 10, completion. The end of a cycle. But not the end of the work, the end of working in isolation. I keep picking up the scent of fresh mortar, that limestone smell of things being built to last. There's a group of you who have been wondering if your goals are too big, if what you're trying to build is realistic. The Three of Pentacles is saying, not only is it realistic, but you're going to need help to make it as good as it deserves to be. What I love about this progression is how it shows the maturation of ambition. You started protecting what you had, then expanded your vision, then learned to work strategically, then received that divine seed of opportunity. Now comes the part that actually requires skill, turning that opportunity into something real, something that serves not just you but others. The monk figure in this card keeps drawing my attention. There's something about devotion here, about work that feels like service. Your goals aren't just about personal achievement anymore. They're about contributing something meaningful to the world, something that outlasts you. I'm seeing the image of hands covered in clay. Not soil this time, but clay that's been worked and shaped. Creative work that gets your hands dirty in the best way, Someone watching this has been hesitant to show their work to others, afraid it's not ready, afraid of judgment. The Three of Pentacles is saying your work is ready for collaboration, ready for other skilled hands to help refine it. That pathway from the Ace of Pentacles, it led here to this moment where your individual vision becomes part of something larger, where your personal goals transform into collective progress. The cathedral these three are building, that's not just architecture. That's the framework for how you want to live, how you want to contribute, how you want to be remembered. The 7 becomes 3, but the building continues. Your goals are evolving from personal achievement to lasting contribution. And that requires community. It requires trust. It requires showing up as the expert you've become. Here comes the Page of Cups, and honestly, this feels like meeting your younger self on the path you've been building. This figure stands at the water's edge, holding up a cup like they're having a conversation with the fish swimming inside it. And isn't that just perfect? After all this strategic planning and collaborative building, here's someone who still believes in magic. There's something so refreshingly honest about this card after watching that progression from protection to expansion to construction. The Page of Cups is reminding you that underneath all that expertise you've been developing, underneath all those practical skills and strategic thinking, there's still that part of you that gets excited about possibilities, that sees wonder in the everyday. I'm picking up something about blue ink, the kind from fountain pens that bled slightly at the edges. Someone's been journaling through this old transformation, haven't you? Writing down dreams that feel too big or too strange to say out loud. If you've been filling pages with ideas that make you feel like a kid with crayons, this card is validation. Here's what's beautiful about where the Page of Cups shows up in your journey. Remember that Ace of Pentacles dropping that golden opportunity into your hands. Remember those three figures building something lasting together? The Page of Cups is saying don't lose the dreamer who made all of that possible. Don't let the practical aspects of achieving your goals squeeze out the intuitive knowing that guided you here. Someone out there has been worried that getting serious about their ambitions means killing the artist, the mystic, the part of them that believes impossible things. The Page of Cups is laughing at that fear. This card is saying your imagination isn't separate from your success. It's the engine of it. I keep getting the sound of water lapping against something solid, like waves against a dock or seawall. There's this sense of flow meeting structure, creativity meeting foundation. That's exactly what you've been building, isn't it? The ability to dream big and make those dreams real. The fish in this cup keeps catching my attention. It's not just decorative, it's alive, swimming in a space that shouldn't be able to hold water, defying physics because the page believes it can. That's your relationship with your goals right now. You're holding space for things that other people might say are impossible, and somehow, against all logic, they're thriving in your hands. This connects back to that 7 energy we've been tracking. 7 as protection, 7 as steps, 7 as different approaches. The Page of Cups is bringing a childlike trust that adds a new dimension to all that strategic work. It's like you've been building this cathedral with the Three of Pentacles, but the Page of Cups remembers why you wanted to build it in the first place. Not just for shelter, but for beauty, for wonder, for the way light streams through stained glass. I'm getting something about rain on a tin roof. Gentle, steady, the kind of sound that makes you want to curl up and dream. There's a group of you who've been so focused on the how of your goals that you've almost forgotten the why. The Page of Cups is reconnecting you with that original inspiration, that thing that made you believe this path was worth walking. What I love about this placement is how it validates the unconventional approach we saw in the Seven of Swords. The Page of Cups doesn't follow normal rules either. They have conversations with fish. They mix water and air like it's the most natural thing in the world. Your goals might not look like everyone else's version of success, and this card is saying good. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else's dream. The taste of sea salt keeps coming through. Not overwhelming, just enough to remind you that you're near something vast and mysterious. Your ambitions have always been connected to something deeper than mere achievement, haven't they? The Page of Cups sees that depth and honors it. If you've been feeling like you need to choose between being practical and being imaginative, between building something real and staying true to your vision, the Page of Cups is saying that's a false choice. The most magnificent goals are the ones that marry earth and water, structure and flow, the possible and the magical. Five of Wands. And suddenly we're in the thick of it, aren't we? This card shows five figures with their wands raised, and at first glance it looks like chaos. Everyone swinging in different directions, nobody quite connecting. A tangle of energy that could be combat or could be the world's most passionate brainstorming session. But look closer at what's happening here. After watching your journey from that protective crouch of the Four of Pentacles, through the expansion and collaboration we've been building, the Five of Wands is showing you something crucial about where you are right now with your deepest life ambitions. This isn't destruction. This is the creative friction that happens when big dreams start bumping up against reality. I'm getting something about the sound of swords clashing, but not in battle. More like wind chimes made of metal, chaotic but somehow musical. There's a rhythm in the discord that you're starting to recognize. Here's what's fascinating about this placement. Remember that Page of Cups we just saw, holding space for magic and possibility? The Five of Wands is what happens when you try to bring those dreams into the world and discover that everyone has opinions about how you should do it. Everyone's got a wand. Everyone's got an approach, and suddenly your clear vision is surrounded by well-meaning chaos. Someone out there has been feeling overwhelmed by all the different directions people are pulling them. You've been getting advice from your family about your career goals, input from friends about your creative projects, suggestions from mentors that contradict each other completely. The Five of Wands is saying this isn't a problem to solve. It's information to sort through. I keep picking up the scent of sawdust, like a workshop where multiple projects are happening at once. There's creation happening here, but it's messy, it's loud, and it requires you to stay focused on your own piece while everything else swirls around you. What I love about how this connects to our journey is that it shows the natural evolution of ambition. You started by protecting your goals in isolation. Then you learned to plan strategically. Then you got creative with unconventional approaches. The universe dropped that golden opportunity in your lap. You found your collaborators. You reconnected with your vision. And now? Now comes the part where you have to defend that vision while still being open to refining it. The seven energy we've been tracking through this whole reading, it's showing up here as the recognition that there are multiple valid approaches to any goal, but you can't take all of them simultaneously. The Five of Wands is asking you to sort through the noise and find your own rhythm in the chaos. I'm getting something about a compass needle spinning before it finds true north. There's a moment of confusion, of multiple magnetic pulls before clarity emerges. If you've been feeling scattered about your life direction lately, like there are too many voices in your head telling you what success should look like, this card is normalizing that experience. Here's the thing most people miss about the Five of Wands. Those figures aren't actually fighting each other. They're testing their strength, they're learning what they're capable of, They're discovering which approaches work and which ones don't. This is the card of productive conflict, necessary friction, the kind of challenge that makes you stronger instead of breaking you down. Someone watching this has been avoiding competition or comparison because it feels too aggressive, too confrontational. But the Five of Wands is showing you that engagement with different perspectives isn't betrayal of your vision, it's refinement of it. That cathedral the Three of Pentacles was building, it got better because different experts brought different ideas to the table. The taste of smoke keeps coming through. Not the acrid smoke of something burning down, but the warm smoke of a forge where metal is being shaped into something useful. Your goals are being tested right now, heated up and hammered into a stronger form. What's beautiful about where this card appears in your journey is that it's showing you how much you've grown. Remember that Four of Pentacles grip? You would have seen this kind of energetic chaos as a threat to what you were protecting. Now you're strong enough, grounded enough in your vision to engage with different perspectives without losing yourself in them. The Five of Wands is saying that the friction you're experiencing around your life goals right now isn't evidence that you're on the wrong path. It's evidence that you're on a path that matters enough for people to have strong opinions about it. That's actually a good sign. Your dreams have gotten big enough to attract attention, complex enough to require navigation, important enough to be worth defending. The question isn't how to avoid the chaos, it's how to dance with it while staying true to your own rhythm. Sometimes the most profound revelations come disguised as endings. The Ten of Swords, and I have to say, after watching this entire journey unfold, this card feels less like betrayal and more like liberation. Here's this figure lying face down with 10 swords piercing their back. But look at that sky. Look at that golden dawn breaking on the horizon. The contrast is everything. We've been following this path from that white-knuckle grip of the Four of Pentacles, through all that strategic planning and creative friction, and now we arrive at what looks like complete defeat but feels like relief. Like finally being able to stop carrying something that was never meant to be yours in the first place. I'm getting something about exhaling for the first time in months. That long, shaky breath you take when you finally admit something you've been avoiding. If you've been holding your breath around your life direction, around the pressure of where you thought you should be by now, this card is permission to let it out. Here's what's striking about where the Ten of Swords appears in your story. Remember all that productive chaos from the Five of Wands? All those different voices and approaches pulling you in different directions. The Ten of Swords is saying some of those approaches needed to die. Some of those goals you've been carrying weren't actually yours to begin with. Someone out there has been pushing toward a version of success that looks impressive from the outside but feels hollow when you're alone with it. You've been building towards something because it seemed like the logical next step, because it would make other people proud, because it fit the timeline you thought your life should follow. And this card is the moment you finally admit, this isn't what I actually want. The number 10 is completion, but it's also the end before the beginning. We've been tracking that 7 energy through this entire reading. 7 as protection, 7 as different approaches, 7 as the willingness to change the game. 10 takes that even further. 10 is saying you've learned everything you needed to learn from this particular path. And now, it's time to let it go. I keep getting the image of a heavy coat being dropped on the ground. Not torn or destroyed. Just no longer needed. The season has changed, and what once kept you warm is now making you sweat. There's a group of you who've been clinging to goals that served you in an earlier version of your life, but are suffocating the person you're becoming. What I find beautiful about this placement is how it connects back to that Page of Cups we saw. that figure holding space for magic and possibility. The Ten of Swords is clearing away everything that was blocking your access to that wonder. All those practical concerns, all that strategic maneuvering, all those well-meaning opinions from the Five of Wands. Some of it needed to be released so you could hear your own voice again. The taste of iron is coming through strong. Not blood, but the metallic tang of something being forged, something being refined. Your life goals are going through a purification process right now. The parts that aren't genuinely yours are being burned away, so what remains is pure intention. Here's the thing about the Ten of Swords that changes everything. Those 10 swords aren't random violence. They're precise. They're complete. This is surgical removal of illusions, not random destruction. Every sword represents a belief about success, a should, a timeline, a fear that needed to be acknowledged and released. I'm picking up something about the sound of wind through empty spaces. Not the chaos of the Five of Wands anymore, but clean, clear air moving through a space that's finally been decluttered. Someone watching this has been afraid that letting go of their current goals means they're giving up, means they're a failure. The Ten of Swords is saying the opposite. Letting go of what doesn't serve you is how you make room for what does. Remember that Ace of Pentacles, that golden opportunity the universe dropped in your palm? Remember those collaborative builders from the Three of Pentacles? The Ten of Swords is saying all of that was practice. All of that was teaching you to recognize authentic opportunity when it appears, to distinguish between goals that come from fear and goals that come from love. The dawn in this card isn't accidental. After the darkest moment comes the clearest light. Your life direction isn't ending. It's being reborn. But rebirth requires the death of what came before. The willingness to let all the versions of success decompose so new growth can emerge. There's something about the number 43 that keeps flashing. Age, days, degrees. If that resonates, trust it. Sometimes the most specific details carry the most important messages. What strikes me most about this progression is how it shows the maturation of authentic ambition. You started protecting goals you thought you wanted, learned to plan strategically, got creative with unconventional approaches. But the Ten of Swords is asking the deepest question of all. What if the life you're trying to build isn't the life you're meant to live? What if this apparent ending is actually the beginning of something truer? Something that makes your heart beat faster instead of making your shoulders tense? The Ten of Swords isn't defeat. It's graduation from goals that were too small for the person you were becoming. Look who's charging onto the scene. The Knight of Swords. And after that profound release we just witnessed with the Ten of Swords, this energy feels like lightning after thunder. This knight is leaning forward on their horse, sword raised high, racing through clouds and wind like they've got somewhere urgent to be. Everything about this figure screams momentum, action, the kind of forward motion that doesn't ask permission. And honestly, after watching you lie down under all those swords, after that moment of surrender and clearing away what wasn't truly yours, the Knight of Swords feels like your life force coming back online. Like someone just plugged you back into the electrical grid and now you're humming with possibility again. I'm picking up the sound of hoofbeats on cobblestone. Fast, rhythmic, echoing off walls. There's a group of you who've been moving so carefully, so strategically through this whole transformation, and now something inside you is saying enough planning, enough processing, enough waiting for the perfect moment. It's time to move. Remember that journey we've been on? Starting with that Four of Pentacles death grip, learning to see the bigger picture with the Two of Wands, getting creative with the Seven of Swords approach. The universe dropped that golden opportunity with the Ace of Pentacles. You found your collaborators with the Three of Pentacles, reconnected with your vision through the Page of Cups. You weathered that productive chaos of the Five of Wands, and then that complete clearing away with the Ten of Swords. The Knight of Swords is what emerges from all of that. This isn't reckless action, this is informed urgency. This is someone who's done the inner work, who's cleared away the false goals and the borrowed dreams, and now knows exactly where they need to go. The sword this knight carries isn't a weapon of destruction. It's a tool of precision, cutting through whatever stands between you and your authentic life direction. Someone out there has been feeling this building energy, haven't you? Like electricity under your skin, like you're about to burst out of your current circumstances. You've been patient, you've been thoughtful, you've processed and planned and collaborated, and now every cell in your body is screaming that it's a time to act. I keep getting the taste of mint, sharp, clean, awakening. Like that first breath of air after you've been underwater too long. The Ten of Swords taught you what you don't want, showed you what needed to die. The Knight of Swords is your clarity about what you do want, and the willingness to chase it at full speed. What's fascinating about this placement is how it shows the complete transformation of your relationship with your life goals. Remember way back at the beginning, you were protecting what you had, afraid to lose your grip on security? Now look, you're racing towards something unknown because staying still feels like dying. That's growth. That's evolution. That's someone who's learned the difference between safety and stagnation. The number 17 keeps flashing, not adding up to anything, just 17 on its own. If that means something to you right now, pay attention. Sometimes the universe speaks in the most specific languages. Here's what I love about where the Knight of Swords appears in your story. All that friction from the Five of Wands, all those different opinions and approaches, they taught you to trust your own compass. All that collaboration from the Three of Pentacles, it showed you how to work with others without losing yourself. That magical thinking from the Page of Cups, it's still there, but now it's backed by experience, by wisdom, by the knowing that comes from surviving your own transformation. I'm getting something about wind whipping through hair, the feeling of speed that makes your eyes water but you don't want to slow down. There's a group of you who've been sitting on a decision, a change, a leap you know you need to make. The Knight of Swords is saying the time for hesitation's over. Not because you're running out of time, but because you're finally ready. The sword in this knight's hand catches the light differently than those 10 of swords we just saw. Those were about ending, about release, about letting go of what no longer served. This sword is about beginning, about cutting a new path, about carving out space for the life you actually want to live. Someone watching this has been wondering if they missed their chance, if they waited too long to pursue their real goals. The Knight of Swords is laughing at that fear. This card doesn't know anything about the too late. It only knows about right now, about the urgency of authentic desire finally getting permission to move. I keep picking up the scent of ozone, that electric smell before a storm breaks. But this isn't destructive weather. This is the kind of storm that clears the air, that makes everything feel possible again. Your life direction isn't just shifting anymore, it's accelerating. What strikes me about this progression from the Ten of Swords to the Knight of Swords is how it shows the natural rhythm of transformation. Death, then resurrection. Surrender, then action. The willingness to let old goals die so new ones can be born with this kind of fierce clarity. The Knight of Swords doesn't second guess, doesn't look back, doesn't worry about what other people think about the speed or direction of their journey. After everything you've been through, after all that careful consideration and strategic planning, you've earned the right to trust your instincts and move fast. This knight is carrying you towards something that's been calling to you, something that makes sense not just in your head, but in your body, in your bones, in the part of you that knows what it wants before your mind can talk you out of it. The question isn't whether you're ready, the question is whether you're brave enough to keep up with your own acceleration. Six of Cups, and I'm getting this wave of nostalgia that's so thick I can almost taste childhood summer afternoons. This figure is offering a cup filled with flowers to someone smaller, younger, and there's this tenderness here that makes me want to cry and smile at the same time. After that lightning fast charge of the Knight of Swords, after all that fierce forward momentum, the Six of Cups is asking you to pause and remember why any of this matters in the first place. There's something about the smell of honeysuckle that keeps coming through. Sweet, almost cloying, the kind of scent that stops you in your tracks, and suddenly you're 8 years old again, believing the whole world is made of possibility. If that means anything to you, trust it. Here's what's so profound about where this card lands in your journey. We've watched you transform from that protective crouch of the Four of Pentacles all the way through to the Knight of Swords racing toward your authentic desires. But the Six of Cups is reminding you that your deepest life goals, the ones that actually matter, they're not new. They're old. They're the dreams you had before the world taught you to be practical, before you learned to compromise, before you started measuring success by other people's standards. Someone out there has been moving so fast toward their new direction that they've almost forgotten what originally lit them up. You've been so focused on becoming the person you think you need to be that you've lost touch with the person you've always been. The Six of Cups is bringing that person back into the room, gently, like someone placing their hand on your shoulder and saying, "Remember me." I keep getting the image of a music box, the kind with the tiny dancer that spins when you lift the lid. There's something about the simplicity of that joy, the way it doesn't need an audience or validation or even understanding. It just spins because that's what it's made to do. That's your relationship with your truest goals. They don't need to make sense to anyone else. What's beautiful about this progression is how it shows the full circle of authentic ambition. You started by protecting what you thought you wanted, learned to expand your vision, got strategic about unconventional approaches. The universe offered you that golden opportunity. You found collaborators. You reconnected with wonder. You weathered the chaos of competing voices, surrendered everything that wasn't truly yours, and charged forward with that Knight of Swords clarity. And now, the Six of Cups is saying all of that was to bring you back home. Back to the goals that made your heart sing before you knew hearts weren't supposed to sing in boardrooms. Back to the version of success that a younger you would recognize and celebrate. The number 6 has this nurturing energy, this sense of giving and receiving in perfect balance. But it's not just any 6, it's 6 cups, 6 vessels for holding what nourishes you. And look what's in these cups, not wine, not water, but flowers. Beauty for the sake of beauty, joy for the sake of joy, goals that feed your soul instead of just your resume. I'm picking up something about chalk on sidewalks, those elaborate drawings kids make that the rain will wash away and they'll make again tomorrow. There's no attachment to permanence, no anxiety about legacy, just pure creative expression for the love of creating. Someone watching this has been so worried about building something lasting that they've forgotten how to build something beautiful. Here's what the Six of Cups understands that all those other approaches missed. Your life goals aren't just about what you want to achieve. They're about who you want to become, who you want to be in relationship with, what kind of energy you want to contribute to the world. And usually, if you're honest, that person looks a lot like the kid you used to be before life taught you to be someone else. The taste of lemonade keeps coming through, tart and sweet, made from scratch, the kind you drink on a porch while watching clouds change shape. There's something about slowing down, about savoring, about remembering that the best goals aren't the ones you race toward, but the ones you grow into. Remember that 7 energy we've been tracking through this entire reading. 7 as protection, 7 as steps forward, 7 as different approaches, 7 as the willingness to change the game. The Six of Cups is saying you're almost there. One more step, one more layer of understanding. But this step requires you to look backward before you can move forward. It requires you to remember what you loved before you learned what you should love. Someone out there has been pushing themselves so hard toward their new life direction that they've forgotten to check in with their heart. You've been using your mind to solve everything, strategizing and planning and forcing, and your heart has been quietly waiting for you to remember that the best goals feel like coming home, not like climbing a mountain. I keep seeing the image of hands covered in finger paint, messy, colorful, completely unself-conscious. That's how your truest ambitions want to be approached. Not with business plans and 5-year strategies, but with the kind of playful experimentation that doesn't worry about making mistakes. What I love about where the Six of Cups appears is how it reframes everything we've been through. That protective instinct from the Four of Pentacles, it was protecting something precious, the dreams that make you who you are. That global vision from the Two of Wands, it was trying to find a place in the world for those dreams. That unconventional approach from the Seven of Swords, it was refusing to let the world crush those dreams into conventional shapes. The Ace of Pentacles, those collaborators from the Three of Pentacles, the magic of the Page of Cups, even that clearing away with the Ten of Swords and the acceleration of the Knight of Swords, all of it was leading you back to this. Back to the recognition that your deepest life goals aren't about becoming someone new. They're about becoming who you've always been, but with the wisdom and skill to actually make it happen this time. There's something about the sound of children laughing in the distance, not nostalgic or sad, but alive, present, full of possibility. Your goals don't have to be heavy to be important. They don't have to be serious to be meaningful. Sometimes, the most profound transformation looks like giving yourself permission to want what you've always wanted, to love what you've always loved, to be who you've always been. The Six of Cups is offering you those flowers, not as a consolation prize, but as a celebration. You made it. You found your way back to yourself. Now the question is, what do you want to create from this place of authentic joy? What kind of life do you want to build that would make your younger self proud? What goals feel so true that pursuing them feels less like work and more like play? This is where your real life begins. What a journey this has been. Eyelashes. From that wide-knuckled grip all the way through to remembering what made your heart sing in the first place. There's something so beautiful about how this reading shows that sometimes the biggest transformation is just finding your way back to who you've always been, but with the wisdom to actually honor it this time. You say if you've been pushing so hard toward what you think you should want that you've forgotten what you actually love. This is your permission to slow down and listen to that quieter voice. The one that's been waiting patiently while you figured out all the strategic stuff, all the practical concerns. Your truest goals aren't the heaviest ones. Sometimes they are the ones that feel like play, like coming home, like finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. Let me know in the comments if that number 7 kept showing up for you throughout this week, or if you've been tasting honey lately. Those specific signs always mean the universe is trying to get your attention. Hit subscribe if this one landed, and I'll see you in the next reading. Look after yourselves, little eyelashes. Your dreams are calling you home.